the Honourable Minister for Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, who came here simply to support us. Simply, he had to rearrange his diary to be here. Please. I think that signifies just how much commitment that he has and genuine interest in pushing this space. So without further ado, I'd like him to come up and say his special remarks. Honourable Minister, sir.
My sister, Her Excellency Aisha Ahmad. I can also see my brother, Director from the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Yila. Other stakeholders here with us. Participants to the conference, speakers, panelists, stakeholders from the financial sector, ladies and gentlemen of the press, good afternoon to all of you, and may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. Firstly, I begin by commending the effort of the Central Bank of Nigeria for coming up with so many initiatives to support our economic growth in the country, particularly this 2020 International Financial Inclusion Conference, which to me is very apt, and it comes up at the right time that stakeholders must come together, discuss about their strengths and their challenges, and see how they can support each other to be very successful. I also appreciate my sister, the Deputy Governor, for being on my neck for the last few days to ensure I am here. The last time she called me, we were speaking, I was next to my wife, and she asked me what happened. I said I was invited by the Deputy Governor. Is she a female? I say yes. She said you must attend, and I complied. So when I spoke with her yesterday, she said to me, are you coming? I said, I must come to support you, not knowing that she has a very strong supporter at home. So today in the morning, I had an event here in this Transcorp Hilton, where we conducted 4 different activities. While attending the event, my wife was reaching out to me, try to complete your event and attend that of the Central Bank. I say I will just do that. So many people did not know. We just concluded the event immediately by 2 p.m. and I left the venue immediately for 1 or 2 things. And I think before I was even asked for, I was already here. I think with these few words, you will all bear witness that the directive that has been given to me has been delivered. So my sister, I'm here to support you, and at the same time, I believe you understand it. Thank you very much. I don't want to have any trouble at home, because with this, if she knows I am here, when I arrive home, I will discover that the weather is very safe for landing. And if I'm not here, then definitely the weather will not be saved, and I will not be able to land safely. Furthermore, it is very important to realize that today, the digital economy sector on one hand and the financial sector on the other are coming closer. There is a convergence between ICT sector on one hand and financial institutions on the other, to the extent that it is becoming difficult by the day to draw a line of demarcation between them. And that is why we had been working in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria when it comes to their mandate of either e-Naira or any USSD services, as the case may be. And at the same time, they have been collaborating with us whenever we need their intervention in the core mandate of either the ministry, parastatals, or any responsibility assigned to us by our boss and our principal President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. As we all know, and this is what we have been agitating, that indigenous digital economy cannot be developed without 4 ingredients. Number 1 is broadband penetration. Number 2, bank account. Number 3, digital identity. Number 4, smartphone. These are the 4 ingredients for building an indigenous digital economy. And if any one of them is missing, it is difficult to achieve any significant progress. So if you look at it carefully, you will discover that 2 of them or 3 are directly under the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, broadband, digital ID, and smartphone, while the bank account is under the Central Bank of Nigeria. So by implication, the responsibility of building indigenous digital economy must be a collaborative one between us and our friends and brothers from the Central Bank of Nigeria, or by extension from the financial sector. Furthermore, there are also 2 prerequisites to building an indigenous digital economy. Firstly, there must be digital innovation. And this is what CBN has been driving in Nigeria. There must be innovation. Without innovative ideas, without innovative solutions, then definitely you will not be able to achieve indigenous digital economy. And secondly, there must also to be digital entrepreneurship. Digital entrepreneurship is the second prerequisite. And if you look at it, Central Bank of Nigeria also has a very strong role to play in driving our digital entrepreneurship in Nigeria. As at June this year, 2022, we had 7 unicorns in Africa approximately. 5 of them originated from Nigeria. 1 from Senegal and the other one from Egypt, but 5 originated from Nigeria. Out of these 5, four of them are in the financial sector in Nigeria. This is also to show to us the convergence between ICT sector on one hand and the financial sector on the other. It is because of this I always make sure that we collaborate with the Central Bank of Nigeria, we work together, we support each other, because the mandate requires that collaboration, partnership, among others. In addition, financial inclusion is key globally, particularly towards economic growth, poverty reduction or eradication, job creation, among many others. During the last panel, a question was asked, and I believe the guy answering the question, most probably from India, he spoke on that there is no doubt financial inclusion is key to job creation, is key to poverty reduction or eradication, and is also key to our economic growth. If our citizens do not have access to financial inclusion, because financial inclusion is agitating and advocating to make sure that individuals and businesses have access to affordable financial services. So whenever your citizens do not have access to it, you will discover that there are many privileges they will not be able to access. And the challenge is increasing by the day. Particularly, the world population is increasing by the day. The world population as at 1920 was only around 2 billion. Up to around 1930, meaning 100 years ago, 90 years ago, the world population was only 2 billion. The world population reached only 1 billion in around 1880, around 220 years. By 1920 to 1930, 2 billion. But as at 15 November 2022, just this month, the world population reached 8 billion. Look at the population growth from 1920, 1930 to 2022. From 2 billion to 8 billion, an increase over 80 billion within this period. While from first 1 billion in 1880 up to 1920, look at the period. So by implication, the more the population of the world is growing, the more we have a lot to do to ensure that we provide the financial inclusion, financial services to global citizens. Furthermore, to speak on the issue of the 4 ingredients of building our indigenous digital economy, and by implication financial services are part and parcel of that. When it comes to broadband penetration, globally, the broadband penetration stands around 64%. Because out of 8 billion people, 5.3 billion connected, while around 2.7 unconnected. So by implication, we still have 36% that are unconnected. Roughly 1/3 of the world population unconnected. In Nigeria, by 2019, I was assigned by my principal, President Muhammadu Buhari, to supervise the digital economy sector. At that time, 4G penetration in Nigeria was only 23%, but today we have 77%. To provide broadband penetration and to our citizens also, and make it affordable, by 2019, August, the month I took over, the price of 1 gigabyte of data in Nigeria averagely was 1,200 naira, according to a report submitted to my office by the Nigerian Communications Commission, the regulatory body. As at July 2022, this year, we reduced the price to a maximum of 350 naira averagely. The reduction you will discover is more than 2/3 from 2019 to 2022. This is to ensure the affordability of broadband to our citizens, and by implication, to allow them to enjoy the digital financial services available in the country. Secondly, when it comes to the digital ID, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari directed me to supervise the National Identity Management Commission starting from October 2020, just 2 years ago. And I can see the logo of NIMSI here. At that time, NIMSI was established in 2007. To the time I took over in October 2020, how many years? 13 years. The entire database was 39 million in 13 years. From October 2020 to October 2022, within 2 years, I was able to supervise NIMSI to increase the database from 39 million in 13 years to 91 million. By implication, we increased 52 million in 2 years. While what we inherited in the database in 13 years was 39 million. And we achieved this without any budgetary provision provided to us. We only leverage on corporate social responsibilities, and I was even at the central bank to beg the governor on behalf of NIMSI to support them with some infrastructure to support the enrollment. And we increased the enrollment centers and facilities from 1,600 to over 11 centers globally, including many centers in diaspora for our citizens to get enrolled. Why? Digital identity is key to our financial inclusion. is key to our national planning, is key to our budget preparation, and is also key to our national security. Above all, based on the provision of NIMC Act 2007, Section 27, it is mandatory for each and every citizen to obtain it. And in fact, it is mandatory for any legal resident in Nigeria to obtain it within a period of 2 months, as long as he will stay for 6 months in the country. So beyond all, our law requires us to ensure that our citizens obtain their national identity. And that is why we are promoting that. One of the unicorns, I mentioned unicorns. Unicorns means a startup that reach a market value of 1 billion USD. 1 billion USD. So it is a startup that reach a level of a company that the minimum value of that is 1 billion USD. One of them was in my office with his team, and they just came to say thank you. I say, for what? He said, the reinforcement of national ID played a critical role in supporting us to reach this level of unicorn in Africa. Why? Because you cannot successfully drive financial inclusion without digital ID. That is why CBN was compelled to think outside the box and come up with their own bank verification number. At that time, they couldn't rely on the database of NIMC because there was no any force driving the enrollment. So even the bank verification number came up as a child of necessity because there must be an identity for citizens to enjoy financial services. So this is what we have achieved, and also part of it still, we are working now with the National Population Commission to see how National Population Commission can work with the National Identity Management Commission during the upcoming census, so that we will be able to capture our citizens that are not yet in the database. And still on broadband, we have recently launched the 5G for commercial services, which will allow almost real-time communications, and I also think will also be very important for our financial inclusion in Nigeria. In addition to granting a license to SpaceX of Elon Musk, where they will deploy their satellite, and based on our agreement with them, in the first quarter of our 2023, they will cover the whole country. We will have 100% coverage of broadband in Nigeria as long as we get the required clearance of their facilities from custom services and other regulatory bodies of government. All these initiatives are very important to our financial inclusion, and they are also part and parcel of our digital economy. It is because of this, whenever CBN organizes any event, I feel like the sector I represent is part and parcel of the central bank family. When I came in, my protocol was pointing my seat here. Minister, you can sit here. And the next one to the deputy governor is CBN seat. I say, no, I will sit on the CBN governor's seat, not on my seat. This is to demonstrate to you that CBN governor can go anywhere and represent the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy and speak on his behalf, and I can also stand anywhere and speak on behalf of the Central Bank of Nigeria because of that convergence of our responsibility. Intentionally, I avoided my seat, and this is exactly his seat, and this is where I am, and I will continue to remain there until I leave this venue. It is because of this I feel this conference is very apt and is very relevant. Today in the world we have 1.6 billion people that are on bank or underbanked according to the World Bank report of 2020. The more we try to bridge the gap, the more the population of the world is growing. And I think we need to redouble our effort to the extent that the way and manner we capture the unbanked and underbanked is much, much higher than the population growth globally. And this is very important. When it comes to digital ID also, I believe that so far we have approximately 1 billion people globally that do not have any formal identification. Most unfortunately, half of this number, 500 million, live in Africa. Africa with a population of 1.3 billion people. So far, almost 40% of Africans do not have any formal means of identification, either their digital ID or national ID or passport, any form of identification. As long as it's a formal one, they don't have it. This is another challenge that we must work together to drive financial inclusion by redoubling our effort towards broadband penetration, national identity, making smartphone affordable to our citizens globally. How many minutes do I have? 20 or 30? Okay, so with these few words, I'm here to support the Central Bank of Nigeria and by extension to support the Central Bank Governor and the Deputy Governor, Her Excellency Aisha Ahmad, and also to wish you all the best. I have been informed we have so many participants joining virtually. We have almost